There it is, John Lund Unleashed. Brock Purdy wants a bass boat and other things we learned from the $265 million press conference. It's the press conference recap. Thanks for joining us, John Lund Unleashed. Please, please, please subscribe to John Lund Unleashed as well as the Bay Area Sports Collective. And we will have a big announcement tomorrow morning in the show at 8 a.m. Remember, shows Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, Saturdays at 10 a.m. whenever news breaks. Shorts. Today is Brock Purdy wants a bass fishing boat, if his wife will let him, and other things we learned from the $265 million press conference. There is the cover right there. You see the money, you see the fish, you see the bass boat press conference recap. First and foremost, and one of the most interesting things that comes out of the press conference is, did Brock Purdy leave money on the table? Does Brock Purdy deserve the money? Those are the biggest things. So let's keep this in mind as we are discussing and we are letting you hear from Brock, shall we? I did that nice little graphic myself, and you could probably see it. All right, so these are comparable quarterbacks, peers of Brock Purdy. Now, you may not think he's as good as Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. I understand that, but they're making $55 million per season, which is why I put them up there. So if you look at Brock Purdy, and we'll go across the board on this, $53 million. He's 26. His winning percentage for his career is .638. Completes 67.5% of his throws on an average, 27 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 8.9 yards per attempt. That's much more telling than what yards are, because yards is, I'm behind the game, I got to throw for a bunch of yards. And a quarterback rating, which would be number one all time if he qualified, of 104.9. Josh Allen, $55 million, age 29, winning percentage more than Brock Purdy. Completes 63% of his passes on an average season, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 7.3 yards per attempt, and a 93.4. See what I'm saying here? Same thing. You look at a guy like Joe Burrow. His team's behind a lot. They haven't been as good. Completes almost 69% of his passes. Average season, 34 and 11, 7.5, and a 101 rating. Jalen Hurts, lots of talent around him, just like Brock Purdy. You can see the numbers across the board, average of 19 and 9, 7.6, and a 93.5 rating. Trevor Lawrence, he stinks, even though he's the number one overall pick, which is something that Brock Purdy is never going to be able to overcome. I think the biggest comp is Jared Goff, $53 million, the same as Brock. He's 30, winning percentage of .609, not as good as Brock. Completes 65.6% of his passes in an average season, not as good as Brock. 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, very comparable to Brock's 27-11, only 7.5 per attempt, and a career rating of 95.7, or that's the average season. And then Justin Herbert, who is the exact opposite of Brock, first round pick, rocket arm, 6'6", 240, everything you want in a quarterback, right? Winning percentage is far lower, complete 66.5%, average season, 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 7.2 yards per attempt, and a 96.7. So if you look at that total, comparables for Brock Purdy and that contract, think about it like it's real estate, right? What are the comps? What are the comps? What are the comps? Those are the comps. Those are the guys making about the same amount of money, about the same age. Those are the guys that he's comped against. So he doesn't deserve the money, right? Colin Cowherd, he doesn't deserve the money, right? Mike Florio, he doesn't deserve the money. Most of national media, his winning percentage amongst those comps, second. Completion percentage, second. Touchdowns per season, fifth. He doesn't throw the ball as much. They have a more balanced offense. Yards per attempt, 1. Quarterback rating, 1. It would be the best quarterback rating of all time, but Brock Purdy doesn't deserve the money. Why? Because he's picked 262 and you can't get over that? That's not my fault. First round pick, Josh Allen, top 10. Number 1 overall pick, Burrow. Jalen Hurts, second round, but he's the defending champion. Justin Herbert, top 5 pick. Everybody thinks they deserve the money because where they were drafting him. Because Brock Purdy's only 6'1" and 220 pounds and isn't the greatest athlete, although he's pretty athletic compared to some of those guys on that list. He was 262, and he's never going to overcome that. And he's probably never going to overcome it until he wins, and if he wins a Super Bowl. But if we're doing comps, and we think about it like real estate, those are Brock's numbers versus 17-game averages for his contemporaries, for his comps. I'm not saying he's as good as Josh Allen. I'm not saying he's as good as Joe Burrow. What I am saying is those are realistic comps. The best 4 quarterbacks in the league, in some way, shape, or form, in some kind of an order. I don't care who's on a list. I don't care who's on a Mount Rushmore. But the top 4 are pretty easy. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Those are the top 4. And then it comes down to beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Brock might be the 5th best quarterback on some Sundays, the 10th on other Sundays, but he's no worse than that. And his numbers tell you he's first in just about everything. And he didn't have a good season last year. And you can say it's an excuse or you can say it's an explanation. He lost McCaffrey. He lost Ayuk. The line wasn't very good, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He had a rookie first-round pick that got shot and missed training camp. All right, he's supposed to still be great. I get it. Everybody thinks that Brock Purdy, because of Kyle Shanahan, should be great, or because he's got all this talent around him, should be great. Is Jalen Hurts got talent around him? I forgot. Does Goff have talent around him? I forgot. Does Patrick Mahomes have Travis Kelce, and they took a first-round wide receiver last year? I mean, if Mahomes was so great, why would they? And Tyreek Hill earlier in his career, every great quarterback has great players around him. That's just how it works. So for some reason, he doesn't deserve the money, but I just showed you. In comps, think of real estate. What's the comp? Those are the comps. I just showed them to you. And amongst those comps, he's actually at the top of everything but touchdown passes. He'd have the best quarterback rating of all time. Don't know what to tell you, haters. Stats are the stats. We love stats, right? We're an analytically driven society, especially in sports right now. But those numbers, they don't matter because Brock was picked 262, and he's not very good. What's he ever done? Well, his first 2 years, he went NFC Championship game and Super Bowl. But I guess other people, bad quarterbacks get to the Super Bowl all the time. Actually, they don't. All right, so let's go through Brock's $265 million press conference that he deserved every dime. So let's start here. How did the negotiations go down between Brock and the 49ers?
Before the whole thing started, sat down and we were like, all right, this is our vision. This is hopefully what we can get out of it and get what you deserve and have earned and go from there. But obviously we want to, make sure that we're working together with our organization and setting up everybody for success. It's not just for me to get all the money as much as I can, but also like, hey, let's surround yourself with a great team and players and a great locker room and all those things matter. So we definitely talked about that. And then, like I said, he would just update me periodically. But, there were some things that we wanted in there to protect me down the road and whatnot, and the contract and the language and all that stuff. But he did an amazing job with handling that and then breaking it down to me, like what it is, what it means, and what we need to get, what we can give up, all that kind of stuff. That's just negotiating. And so, like I said, he did an amazing job, and I'm very proud of him.
All right, that's Brock talking about his agent and how the contract was actually negotiated. Now, in there, you heard a little tinge, and I'm going to play these next two cuts for you along these lines, that maybe Brock gave something up, right? Well, he did get a no-trade clause in his contract, so without his approval, he cannot be traded in this process. But he kind of hinted towards something that a lot of people were talking about. Did Brock give back money? Did Brock leave money on the table? Trevor Lawrence got $200 million guaranteed and $55 million per season. Brock Purdy's better than him. I don't care where Lawrence was picked first overall or where Brock was picked last overall. He's better than Trevor Lawrence. He's as good as Jared Goff, if not better than Jared Goff. He's as good as or better than Jordan Love. You go on down the line. Other than those four quarterbacks, the four quarterbacks that I mentioned, they're better. I'm not debating that. But when you start at five, you start looking at things going, well, he's not five. He's not? Because go back and look at the numbers. So anyway, he deserves the money. Well, let's go back to this little part because this gets really interesting. Did Brock leave money on the table? 53 per season, 265, 181 guaranteed. It's a lot of money. But he's paid in the 7 to 10 range, depending on how you look at it. He could have pushed for more. He's better than Jordan Love. Could have got more than him. Could have got more than Trevor Lawrence, certainly. I don't think he could have gotten into the Burrow, the Allen range. Certainly not. But here's Brock on if he left money on the table. I'm going to give you two clips here. Take a watch to this.
Man, I have so much respect for everybody in this organization from the top down. And so I think they know who I am and what I'm about. And I don't know if there was a narrative of Brock's going to take a pay cut because he's a nice guy or this or that. But for me, it's, man, I play in the NFL. There's 32 starting quarterbacks and those guys, it's not the easiest job in the world. And for me, with what I've done and everything, I could hang my hat on the fact that, I've had success in this league and I'm capable of leading an organization all the way to the end, the Super Bowl. I proved that. And so for me, I know who I am and I'm going to, obviously want to get what I deserve, but also surround myself, like I said, with guys around me and not just try to take every penny for myself. But that's the whole point of negotiating. You go throughout that, you try to meet in a middle ground and where we ended, man, I'm extremely grateful and happy with.
He talked about not trying to get every dime. There's another cut that I'll play you in just a second. He wants better players around him. I'm not saying he's given up the money like a Tom Brady has in the past. I know Josh Allen in this past contract negotiation had given up some money. And don't get me wrong, Brock Purdy's not poor. $1 million per season, most of us would take that. He had a bunch of endorsements with Toyota and the seed company and Panini cards and all these different things. So it's not like Brock was starving. But there's a whole different story when it's $181 million. But he could have and certainly did leave money on the table. I would not call it a hometown discount. He's not from here. But you might call it a home team discount, and there's two things at play. Number one, just like he's got this, and he's got this, and he's got that, and he's got this, and that's why he's good. And anywhere else, he'd be terrible. That narrative is stupid, and you don't know football. But Brock's not stupid either. Having Kyle Shanahan helps. Having George Kittle helps. Having a great, stable organization like the 49ers, a lot of these young players, they get drafted in the first round, and then obviously, what are you with? You're with a bad team. You're with a bad organization, generally. You're with a team that has to turn around culture, losing culture to winning culture. It's not easy. Ask Trevor Lawrence. That's what he's trying to do. So a lot of these guys, Burrow went through it when he was taken first overall. Jared Goff with the Rams. Jared Goff when he got to the Lions. So a lot of these guys are in non-ideal situations. Maybe it's an offensive coach. Maybe it's not. They've probably fired a bunch of coaches. Brock has not had to deal with that. You can clearly see that Brock Purdy is smart in a couple of different ways. Number one, he knows that the situation in San Francisco is good, and he knows that the organization is going to surround him with good players, and they make generally sound decisions. And then thirdly, he looks around and says, well, I want to keep these guys around. Fred Warner being signed is good for me because the defense is better. George Kittle being signed is good for me because that's going to be somebody I'm going to be looking for because more times than not, that's a matchup advantage for me. So, yeah, did he take a few less bucks thinking that, you know what, other guys could get signed? I think he did. Here's more on Brock Purdy on that front of if he left money on the table.
Exactly where we needed to be. I'm extremely happy with where we ended, and I know the Niners are too. And you know, with that being said, man, like for me, it's all about football now. And you know, however, obviously they use the cap space and all that kind of stuff. Like that's not my job. My job is to now go and win games and lead this team. And but I'm extremely happy and grateful for where we ended with.
I tell you this all the time. There's pressure on a player like Brock Purdy, especially at that position, to get the most possible money. So even if Brock wanted to take less, and he took a little bit less, but not a lot, $181 million is still in the top 7 in terms of the way that Brock Purdy was paid. Overall money of $265 still matters. $53 million a season, not bad, in the top 10. And really, the $265 is bloated, pumped up by an agent. That was a pumping of the tire sound. And so is the $53 million per season. It's only the $181, the guaranteed money that matters. And Brock is going to see that money. The other stuff, whatever. I got him 53. I got him 265. Way to go, agent. You got him 180. But Brock Purdy at least could have gotten 200 because that's what Trevor Lawrence got. And most players probably would have sat back and said, I ain't taking a dime less than Trevor Lawrence because he stinks. And I don't care where he was picked. I'm a lot better than Trevor Lawrence. What has he ever done? Who has he ever beaten? What kind of playoff success has he ever had? Has he been to a championship game? Has he been to a Super Bowl? Does he have the highest quarterback rating of all time? If I qualified at 104.5, he's got a quarterback rating at 85. And they brought in Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. They've brought in offensive linemen. They've brought in Christian Kirk and spent money on offensive players and Evan Ingram. And they've tried. He hasn't come up, but he's the number 1 overall pick. So I don't remember people complaining when he got 55 and 200. So I'll double check on that, but I don't think so. So there you go. He left money on the table. It's clear. He's not taking a shot at Brandon Ayuk in this next cut, but he's telling you that he kind of was through this process thinking about Brandon Ayuk, right? In 2024, because he did not want to have those same kind of things happen. Listen to what Brock Purdy said and think of this as the anti-Brandon Ayuk from a year ago.
This business side of things, how can I still be present in the locker room and love on these guys and build trust and character within the whole organization, even though this contract negotiation thing is going on? I didn't want to lose who I was throughout all the process. I feel like you've seen stories and things around the league at times where people can act uncharacteristically and because they might be hearing some things, but for me, what I've learned is it is a business, but that doesn't mean I have to change. I can continue to be who I am and stay true to that and have faith that it'll get done.
So here's how I translate that. Brandon Ayuk did become a different person. Brandon Ayuk one day was dabbing up Kyle Shanahan on the sidelines, and in another minute, he was on a podcast saying, God, I want to play with Jaden Daniels, man. How awesome would that be? We played together at Arizona State. I want to do that again. So I was like, well, what do you want? And the only reason he got saved was because Kyle Shanahan ran up the stairs to John Lynch's office and saved him from trade to Pittsburgh, which, to be honest with you, the 49ers probably now wish they would have taken. So it was up and down. It was a roller coaster ride. And I think that Brock Purdy watched that from afar and didn't mean anything, didn't take any shots at Brandon Ayuk, but essentially Brandon Ayuk lost himself. And Brock Purdy wanted to stay true to who he was. And I think he did. And I think that was kind of what that meant right there. 24 versus 25. This next one's interesting to me because 2024, let's be honest, the football gods did not look kindly upon the 49ers. Hold in by Brandon Ayuk, hold out by Trent Williams. Pearsall gets shot. Pearsall misses camp. CMC never really gets off the ground, nor does Dre Greenlaw. Injuries, weirdness, ineffectiveness. You knew early on in the season as a 49ers fan, this ain't going to be our year. Just like you know when a year is charmed, you know when a year is cursed. And that was what happened last year from the start. And it just got worse as the season went on. So Brock Purdy, one of the reasons why he wanted to get the deal done so quickly and was so happy that George Kittle and Fred Warner got their deals done as well, was because he didn't want a repeat of 2024.
Having the guys done and being able to get back to work and be around the guys in the locker room and just like build our culture and standard really from the ground up with all the new guys that we have. It's been pretty cool. And everybody's bought in right now, and we're excited, obviously, to do like more team activities and stuff as we move along the off season. But man, it's hard to explain. But the young guys, the older guys, everybody's is bringing it right now, and I think it's just so important that we're just around each other a lot, doing little different activities and continuing to build chemistry. Like that's the kind of stuff that matters, man. When you get late in the season and things get tough, and you go through some tough things as a team, like. You want to be able to know the guy next to you.
It's 2025 versus 2024, but I think Brock Purdy, as much as he could influence 2025, and I'll give him credit and I'll give the 49ers credit. The 49ers, I think, philosophically changed their thought. Now, it was led by Brock Purdy, but they thought to themselves, wait a minute. These things that have been getting done, and I'm talking about first contracts. Fred Warner's first contract was done in August after his rookie deal was up. Kittle's first contract, not this one, but that one was done in August. Deebo Samuel's deal, when that got done after his rookie deal, was done on August 1st. Nick Bosa's deal was done on September 6th. We know what happened last year with Brandon Ayuk late. We know what happened with Trent Williams last year late. These things were getting done in training camp, during training camp, just before training camp or after. And that's just too late. And I know that's a negotiating tactic, and I get it. Things are going to get done at the last minute. That's when things get done. Things get done negotiation-wise during and on deadline. But the Niners said, you know what, in this offseason, and I hope they continue this, it's not the way to go. In 2024, it set a poor tone with Brandon Ayuk. It set a poor tone with Trent Williams, set a poor tone for the entire season, and they went 6-11. This year, as part of what they did, and we'll get into who they purged in just a second, and Brock Purdy addresses that momentarily, but they got Kittle done. They got Warner done. They got Purdy done, all before June 1st. There's no one left to get done. There's no renegotiations. There's nothing hanging over their head. Now everybody's in and all the rookies in and everybody's feeling great, and they can get to and get off the ground running. And Christian McCaffrey supposedly is healthy, and a bunch of other guys are too. And all of a sudden, things feel a lot different than they did in 2024. Will that make a difference in the season? Yeah, I think it will. And I think one of the next things you're going to hear now that Brock has dotted I's and crossed T's, he's going to take all the offense and all the guys, and they're going to go to San Diego or some cool spot, and they're all going to throw together and build chemistry and all the things that he just talked about. And I think that'll be huge for 2025. Here is Brock, and I've been telling you this the entire offseason. It was overblown who the 49ers lost. Still doesn't make it any easier for Brock Purdy and the friendships he had with those players.
Obviously, I was finding out just like everybody else with my teammates leaving and going to other teams and places, and I was extremely happy for them getting paid and all that kind of stuff. But I also understand that, man, that's the nature of the sport. It's a business, and players go to different places and stuff, and you got to bring in new guys and build up a new culture and team, and that's part of it. But I didn't get consumed by it. Obviously, it does suck when you build up this brotherhood, and Dre Greenlaw was my locker room partner and right next to me, and then now he's gone, and it's like, man, that stinks. But it's part of the game. So still trying to comprehend it a little bit.
I completely understand what Brock Purdy said there in terms of missing players as friends, as teammates. But let me recap the offseason for the 49ers, because now all of a sudden it's like these guys get signed at the end and everybody's excited, and then they see the schedule and it's really easy and they get really excited again. At the beginning of the offseason, think about it. I know Deebo was traded for a 5th-round pick, but think of the free agents they lost. What free agency is what the lifeblood of a team is. Is that you're going to draft, develop, resign, draft, develop, resign, draft, develop, resign. That's what you want to do. Free agency is to make up for those mistakes. It's drunk money, especially early in free agency. And most times with a free agent, there's a reason they're a free agent. They're old, they're injured, they're overpriced, they're inexperienced. They still have potential, that former first-round pick that hasn't gotten there quite yet. There's something wrong most times with a free agent. But that's all there is to choose from, so everybody runs in there, tries to make up for the mistakes for the guys they didn't draft, develop, and re-sign. And so there's issues with free agents. So think about the 49ers that were let go. Deebo Samuel was traded for a 5th-round pick. If any team in the NFL thought that Deebo's best football was ahead of him, don't you think he'd have been traded for more than a 5th-round pick? I think his best football is behind him. Noah Hufanga, because Malik Mustafa is hurt, that one's going to hurt. But he's been injured a lot. Free agents, hurt, chance taking. The 49ers had a player in place and still do when he comes back in Malik Mustafa. Javon Hargrave was one of the biggest busts in 49ers history. How did they acquire him? Oh, yeah, it was on the first day of free agency. Never fit, often injured. The only guy they're going to miss from the free agent class that they let get away was Dre Greenlaw. They misread the market. They tried to make up for it late. He had already committed to Denver. Now, can Nick Martin make up for that? Can D. Winters make up for that? Probably not. So, look, if you're going to say in the offseason, man, but they let Dre Greenlaw go, I'm with you. And the guys they brought in, the 100 special teamers that they brought in, and a blocking tight end, really don't get me very excited. I understand that. So if you're going to complain that they didn't bring in enough, I understand. But who they lost, greatly exaggerated and overrated. And finally, the last question was asked, hey, Brock, you just got $265 million, actually $181 million, guaranteed. What are you going to do with all that money?
We're still thinking about some stuff, but I don't know. I've always been a big fishing advocate, so I was telling my wife, and she's annoyed with me, but I'll say it, but I'd like to get a bass boat one day. So, yeah, that'll be my first big purchase.
There is no person who believes in the sanctity of marriage more than I do. But I got news. Brock Purdy should not have to ask his wife for a bass fishing boat. $81 million. It's guaranteed. He's taking care of financially probably 20 generations of that family. He gets chased by 300-pound men who want to rip his face off, who want to rip his head from his shoulders. If he wants I don't know, what's a bass fishing boat cost, $100,000 or so? If he wants to dip into that $181 million and get a bass fishing boat, hell, to get a lake to roll it on, he could buy. To have that lake filled with bass, I don't know what that would cost. It would probably cost a pretty penny. He has earned it. Brock Purdy, you can go get a bass fishing boat, and you shouldn't have to ask anybody. The $265 million press conference with bass boat fisher Brock Purdy. Give me your thoughts and comments underneath. What did you think? What were the most important parts of Brock Purdy's press conference? And do you have an issue with him being signed? I just told you. Absolutely not. You don't. It's a good signing. Both sides win. That is very rare in the NFL, but the Niners win. It's a good contract for them. Brock Purdy wins. It's an awesome contract for pick 262, who comes up with $265 million. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you're also subscribed on YouTube to the Bay Area Sports Collective, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Please make sure that you tune in. Also, Saturdays at 10 a.m., we do a short hour to recap the week as well. And when news like this breaks, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button. Put the comments underneath. Subscribe, like, and put those alerts on so that you know when we go live on John Lund Unleashed.